One of the great new features in the RPG key is the ability to reconfigure or reorganize the keys to something other than what we shipped you. Currently, the exposure up key in Lightroom is the same as the exposure down key, but you're required to hold down a modifier key in order to do this. With the new version of the RPG key, you can reconfigure the keyboard to utilize the functions of Lightroom or any application that you own to your user settings. To do this, you're going to click on Configure. And a user interface with a picture of either the 58 RPG key or the RPG key Mini is going to show up. The first thing you're going to see in red is that you're not, in fact, able to modify the default layout that comes as a stock on your RPG key. So we're going to go back to the main user interface and we are going to duplicate this system. So we're going to go to More Settings and we're going to duplicate. And we're going to call this Video Demo. And now we're going to hit Duplicate. So now we're going to click here and now we're going to say Configure. And we are back in the Layout Modifier application within the RPG key system. So we're going to select the Lightroom and we're going to select Video Demo. And so let's imagine that we in fact do want to reprogram button 40, which is the button that the default is exposure up and exposure down. Perhaps we want to do exposure down as button 39 and exposure up as button 40. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear button 39 and 40. So I'm going to hit clear. I'm going to clear that key. And I'm going to clear this key. Okay. So on the right hand side, I'm going to now search for the function of Lightroom that I want to put on button 39. So I want 39 to be exposure down. So I find it, I click on it, and now I click Assign. And now button 30 down, or button 30 is now exposure down, and I'm going to click on button 40, and I still happen to have exposure up here because I typed exposure in my search field, and I'm going to click Assign. So we have just reprogrammed button 40 from exposure up and exposure down to 39 and 40 being up and down. The same principles are used with the RPG Mini. You will find that many of the macro libraries include even the native Lightroom shortcuts. So if we do like K, you're going to see all, I just did a search for K, you're going to see all of like Alt Control K, left cursor, anything that has a K in it. But what's important to notice here is that not just the fancy RPG key macros for exposure and presets, which is a lot of what you've paid for, but also all of the native Lightroom shortcuts are also here. So button 9 is currently color gray. I'm going to clear button 9, and now I'm going to just make this I don't know, 4 stars. So I'm going to just search for star. And we'll do 3 star. Button 9 is, we're going to do assign. And there we go. Button 9 is now 3 star.